Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF. Bava Basra Chav Gimel. We are holding on the last line on Chav Beis or Mebeis. We begin with a story. Rabbi Yosef, he owned these palm trees, these mini palm trees. Rabbi Yosef Havalei Hanutali. These are small-sized palm trees in his property. The Habu Su Umni with these fellows, these bloodletters. They would treat their patients by alleviating their blood overload. And guess where they practiced their profession? Right there, beneath Rabbi Yosef's palm trees. V'yosfi to sayu, they would sit beneath those trees. And Rashi, Taisus says, it was actually their property. So Rabbi Yosef had trees, and right next door they were sitting. Perhaps the trees were, overhanging, or to sayu means just nearby, close enough to cause trouble to his trees. Why? So ravens would come along, attracted by the blood, achli dama, so they would consume the blood. V'salki v'yasvi b'tali, and then they would go up and perch themselves on these palm trees. U'masidi tamri, consume the dates belonging to Rabbi Yosef. So Rabbi Yosef complained. Amalu Rabbi Yosef. He turned to them and he said, "Afikuli kurkur mihacha." Get rid of these birds that are kurkuring. Rashi says they make these kurkur noises. Basically, relocate yourself, you and your birds. Abaye turned to Rabbi Yosef. How could you insist that they relocate? At most, they're just causing you damage. It's not a direct damage. Amar Leisi says, well, even so, Hachi Amar Av Tuvi Barmas Nozoise Meres. Right? We learned yesterday, right, that the Mishnah indicates to us that in fact, although perhaps after the fact, when it was just a grama, you're a potter, but beforehand, you're not meant to engage in grama. You're not allowed to do that. You have to take precautions to protect your friend's property, even from grama. Grama ben Izakan also. So have a right to ask them to relocate. Asks the Gemara, but it wasn't, a new thing. They've been there for a while. They had a chazaka that they can conduct their business there because you've never said anything, you haven't protested, so they get a chazaka, they can stay there. And says the Gemara, Ha'amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Baravua. So the answer is, but we have an exception to that rule. Ein chazaka linizaken. When it's just about usage rights, chazaka works. Once you've established yourself without issues, it's presumed you have the right, the neighbor allowed it or sold it to you, whatever. But when it's nizakan, when it's involving things that damage and hurt and harm, so even if you've been doing this for a while, it doesn't matter. Because the victim could say, look, I thought I'll be able to tolerate it, now I see I can't. So Rav Yosef has full right to insist that they leave. Asks the Gemara, what do you mean? Not every inconvenience is called nizaken. V'lav itmar Allah. But haven't we learned in the Beis Medrash on this point that it's a very case-specific type of halacha? This idea that chazaka does not help you when it comes to nizaken, that's only by two examples. For instance, Rav Mari Omar Bekutra, it refers to a fellow bellowing smoke into your property. So there, as Taisus says, we're speaking about like a commercial, oven or whatever that's producing a grand amount of smoke. So you can say, look, I thought I'd tolerate it, I see I can't. Rav Zvid Amar, he says, Beis Akisei, refers to this, outhouse. So although he had established himself there, but the fellow can say, I didn't know how, severe it's going to be. So yeah, in these situations, the the fellow can be moiche, can protest even down the road and say, look, I didn't anticipate this level of inconvenience. But a couple of birds hanging around your palm trees, that's not on the same level. And how could Rabbi Yosef go ahead and force them out once they have already established a chazaka? Rabbi Yosef says, actually, honey, lididida anina datoy. I'm a anina datoy means an istness, a very particular. Taisus brings a Gemara in Pesachim that there are three individuals whom the Gemara calls chayeyam einam chayim. They have no life. They're so overwhelmed, overcome by anxiety, by all these emotionally overwhelming tendencies. Who are these three? Taisus says harachmanim, super compassionate people. They just never get on with things because they're always feeling bad. Or aschanim, those who have fierce tempers. Vanini adas, those are very finicky and very particular. So Rav Yosef says over there, Rekulu is nubi. Guess what? I'm a triple winner. I have all three of them. Raschanan, Rachmanan, and Anini Adas. And that corresponds to Ogamar as well. He says, look, I'm finicky. I'm sensitive. So all this blood here is really getting to me. So to me, this is just as critical as the massive amount of smoke, or besakise, in which case I have a right to stop them. Says the Mishnah, you have a birdhouse. How close to the city can you place that birdhouse? Chamishim amma. Why 50 amma? Says Rashi, because your birds are going to consume the seeds, the plantations growing nearby. So you got to keep it 50 amma away, which is sufficient space to discourage them from, sort of out of their reach. Likewise, a person who has a big piece of property, he shouldn't put a shevach in the middle of it unless he has enough space on all sides to protect his neighbors from his birds' visits. You have to have 50 am on either side. You don't need. You need more than that. Beis arba'as kurim. You need to be surrounded by 4 kur spaces of land. Malay shegar ayoina, which is as far as a yoina will travel. And the Mepharshim explained that base kur on either side is about 273 amma distance. Let's say you walk into a property, you purchased it, and there's a birdhouse right in the middle. You didn't place it there; it was there beforehand. Even if it's just a small strip of land surrounding the birdhouse between yourself and your neighbor, it's okay. You have a chazaka. The Gemara will say later. Perhaps you purchased it from you. It was worked out with the neighbors. They were meichel. So you just pick it up where the former owner left off. So 50 amma is the space. Chamishim amma v'suloi, asks the Gemara, only 50 ammas? He's not going to fly more than that. V'raminu, we have a kasha. Raminu, in person, nishbin loyonim. Another halacha, slightly related. A bird catcher should not be setting up his traps for yonim, for these pigeons, unless he is 30 ris away from the city. And 30 ris is Rashi's 4 mil. Right? And the reason is because you don't want to trap the local birds. So you got to be really far away from the local residents. 4 mil. That's way more than 50 amas. Apparently, birds will fly further than 50 amas. Amar Abaye, you're right. Meisha chayti tuva. Of course, a bird flies more than that. But here we're speaking, and the Mishnah was speaking about consuming the people's plans. So basically, Rashi says a bird doesn't have that much of a capacity. So whatever he picks, whatever he finds within 50 amas, that fills him up. So once you're that far away from town, by the time he gets to town, he'll be full, and he won't be consuming the local products. Meisha chayti tuva. True, they can travel very far, but their bellies b'chamshim am Somalia. Once they're picking for 50 amma, they're full. Asks the Gemara, okay, umeshat. So when it comes to flying, which is the underlying reason for the other halacha with the nets, right? So the nets should not be placed within 30 ris. It's a totally different point because the local birds will get ensnared in your net. Totally different, concern. Says the Gemara, we have a kasha on that too. You're putting a limit. You're placing that 30 ris limit for flying. No more than that. By the time you have a brayso over Yishuv, if you're placing your nets, you're setting up your traps in a inhabited area, even if you're within 100 mil, it's a huge amount of space. You can't set up your trap. It's got to be totally wilderness. Way more than 30 ris. And here we say 30 ris is as far as the bird will go. Rabbi said, Omar. When it says Yishuv, it means like this: Yishuv Karamim. The area is filled with vineyards, which the birds get attracted to, and they'll just go from one kerem to the other. They'll use the karamim as their stopovers, and they'll just keep on going. Meaning, if the land is empty and barren, they'll stop at 30 ris. But if they have these karamim along the way, that will extend their flight distance. So over there you have to be careful. You shouldn't set up any traps, even if it's 100 mil from the city, because the city birds will get all the way here through the karamim. Rabbi Amar B'Yishuv Shebachim was speaking that there's a string of birdhouses along the way, so they'll just hop from one to the other and they'll get all the way here. Asks the Gemara, hold it. If you have these birdhouses along the way, so in any case you can't place a trap down here, because even if it's far from the city, but you're placing it near the local birdhouse, that in itself should be a concern. Right? Says the Gemara, 3 terutzim. Perhaps I'm speaking that the birdhouses are his, so there's no question of stealing them from his supply. Rather, the concern is that the city birds might hop all the way out here because they have they have these motels along the road. People say okay, we can speak on the other birdhouses belong to a guy. There's no issue of interfering there. People say the hefker, they're just hefker. So again, there's no issue of taking from them. Rather, the issue is just because of the birds coming from town, and since they have all these inviting, abodes along the way, that'll get them to perhaps travel all the way out here, and you have to be careful not to set up your traps in this manner. Okay, so in conclusion, we discussed placing a distance between the town and things that are bird related. So we have 3 different halachas. One is regarding placing your birds near town. Keep them far away lest they consume the residents' garden material. How far away? 50 amas is enough for that. What about setting up a bird trap? 30 ris from cities required. And if there are all kinds of things along the way which encourage the birds to travel even further, then even that's not allowed. So Mishnah concludes that if you purchase a property which already had a built-in bird nest, you don't have to worry about distances. It's been worked out. You just pick it up where it left off. Amar Papa v'Timer of Zvid. So they both explain. Rav Papa, some say it was Rav Zvid, right? They say Meris. From this Mishnah we learn Ti'anin lekeach, but Ti'anin liyarish. Ti'anin means the Bezdin will advocate for you. They'll sort of speak on your behalf. So let's say, actually says like this. Let's say a person purchased a property, a person inherited a property, and we have witnesses that it was his, right? That were his father's, and he says, "Look, yeah, I got it from my father. I bought it from such and such person who had it for a while, and I know that it was his, right? I have Adam that it was his, and now this fellow comes along and says, a new fellow says, what do you mean? It's mine." So even though Shimon, the current occupier of the property, doesn't know what to say to Reuven, who's claiming it as his, he just knows that he got it from his father or from his seller. So we step in and we say, look, we assume that Shimon's father or Shimon's seller purchased it from you, Reuven. Have a nice day. So typically we don't do that to a person, right? If, let's say Shimon says, what do you mean? What are you complaining to me, Reuven, that it's yours? I was here for many years already. Right? Nobody complained to me. That doesn't work. You have to explain yourself. You have to detail your claim. Oh, I purchased it from you, etc. So we don't step in and help him on that. But by a lekeach, by a yerush, doesn't know better. All he knows is he got it from his father. How's he supposed to know who his father got it from? Or lekeach, I purchased it from a seller who owned it. How am I supposed to know where he got it from? So there we can step in and fill in the blanks, connect the dots, and say, look, presumably they got it from you, Mr. Reuven. Have a nice day. So likewise in our Mishnah, which says that once you purchase the property, you don't have to. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to justify why there's a birdhouse in the middle. I don't know. This is why I got it. I'm sure he was an Elachiyid, he worked it out. That's called Tayanan. We step in and we advocate, we protect you. Says the Gemara, well, these concepts have already been articulated elsewhere. Why the repetition? Yerush Tanina. The idea that we help a Yerush, is already learned. Haba Misham Yerusha, right? The Mishnah. If somebody claims ownership due to Yerusha, he doesn't have to explain where his inheritor got it from. So why repeat it in the Mishnah? Well, the second point, that we help a lekeach, a purchaser as well, that we need to learn in our Mishnah. Well, what do you mean? Lekeach nami tanina, that's been learned elsewhere as well. That we advocate, that we protect, we defend a buyer. We have a halacha which says like this: Lokach chatzer ubazizin uzistrois. A person purchased a residential space, a chatzer, and he sees there are ledges and porches protruding into the street. Does he have to explain how they got there? Does he have to show that it was authorized by the city council? No. We assume he worked it out. The seller took care of it with the city people, paid for it or whatever. So we see that we are toyanin lelekeyach. Why does our Mishnah have to repeat the same idea with the birdhouse perched in the middle of this fellow's property? Says the Gemara, each halacha carries its own special, unique, distinctive lesson. If only the case over there with the ledges extending to the street, it's a sarab. It's a public domain, right? So there we certainly say, look, the city would have came down hard on you. The Eimer Koinis Shalayu, we assume either, one of two options, either it's not really extending to the street, perhaps your wall was inverted, was pulled back, was offset, right? And you set it back so you can go ahead and extend yourself. So there's no issue of protruding to the street. Inami or achuli achul. Perhaps the public allowed you to do it. So we assume it must have been done right. Otherwise, you can't start up. They wouldn't have let you do it. But here, by a birdhouse in the middle of the property, who says the neighbor, acquiesced? Maybe it was just done against his will. So that's why the Mishnah has to tell us no. No. If I purchased the property in this manner, I assume it was done kosher. On the other hand, if we only speak about our case of the birdhouse, to give him the yachid, since it involves just his neighbor, who's a private person, so we assume he must have paid him off, he must have been Michael, he worked it out. Aval Rabban. But in the other case, we have ledges protruding to the street. You're encroaching on the public's domain. Man payes, uman shavik. Who has the ability to, work it out, to let you do it? So perhaps he didn't go through the official channels. He didn't go through the city council. So perhaps we have to question how it happened. We can't just assume it was done kosher. That's why we go through both cases and we tell you, look, it's been there. We assume it was authorized, it was approved, it was certified, and there's no need to go back and reopen the file. So that's the point. If you have it set up, you don't need to justify it anymore. Asks the Gemara, what do you mean? At most you have a chazak. But we learned before about Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Ravua. Ain't a chazaka in a zakah. When it comes to harming and damaging, there's no concept of chazaka. Every day is a fresh, new issue. So just because you had it this way till now, it doesn't give you a right to go further and keep it that way. No, says the Gemara, that only pertains to very critical types of situations, very severe damage causations. Mari Amar Kutra comes with this massive amount of smoke that's going in there. So then we say chazaka is meaningless. We can reevaluate it as we go along. But when it comes to this case of a birdhouse, The issue is not so serious, and once you have a chazaka, we'll let you go. Says the Mishnah, Nipul hanimtza b'tzei 50 amma. You find a little bird, a little gazelle, within 50 amma of a shevach of a birdhouse. Who do they belong to? The birdhouse owner. Hariyusha bala shevach. Chutz me 50 amma, if it's beyond 50 amma. Hariyusha might say, so, finders keepers. Nimtza be'en shnei shevachos. Let's say there are two birdhouses, and you find this baby bird within 50 amma of both birdhouses. Who does it belong to? The one that's closer. Karav l'zeh shalai. Karav l'zeh, it's close to the other one. Shalai belongs to Mesa Mechtav, it's right in the middle. Shnei mechlek, they split it. Amar Rabbi Chanina. Let's say we're faced with a choice. There are two types of factors which will substantiate things. One is called a roiv, a majority factor. If the majority goes one way, you follow the majority. Rashi says it's based on a pasuk. Acharei rabim lahates. We follow the majority of the bezdin. On the other hand, we find something called karev. When something is situated close to something, we assume it relates to that. Rashi says again that's based on a pasuk. You find that the person that rode the closest city is presumed to be the producer of the perpetrator. In which case, that city is responsible. Must bring an egla rufa, right? Well, let's say these two factors clash with each other. Roiv v'karev. You have a question of going either after the roiv or after something which is karev. Which one do you follow? Holchan achar roiv. Roiv is stronger. It verifies. It confirms. Va'af agam, says Rabbi Chanina. Duruba daraisa, v'kurva daraisa. Both factors are based on the pasuk, the menatera. Still, roiv is to be preferred. That determines the halacha. Masiv Rabbi Zera. Have a kasha, says Rabbi Zera. Let's go to Egla Rufa. You find a killed person on the road, and the closest city will have to engage in bringing the Egla Rufa. So karev is what determines. What about the other city far away, but it's a bigger city? More people involved. There are more possibilities that the murderer came from there, right? More chances, more people, right? So you have Roiv against the Karev, and the pasuk says, what do you follow? Karev, not Roiv. It says, there's no city with more people than the city nearby. Okay, but if you tally together, you add up all the people in the world, of course, the number is greater than the people in the city nearby, so chances are it came from them, not from here. B'Yeshev has been a harim. We're talking that the city is situated between the mountains. Rashi says it's really, beyond reach of people. People typically don't travel. Reitzchim, murderers don't travel far away, to this type of setting to kill. They close by and they run home, but they don't. So they're not really going to be included in the equation. Rather, we look at what's going on locally. And since this is the closest city and the biggest city, so she's responsible. Tanan, let's go to our Mishnah. We have a Mishnah, we have this bird within 50 amma of this birdhouse. It belongs to him. What do you mean? There are other birdhouses, 70 amas away, 80 amas away, that are more inhabited, more residents than this local birdhouse. And what does the Mishnah say? Who do we relate it to? The Karev, not the Roiv. But the Lek we're speaking to aren't. Birdhouses with more numbers than this one. If that's the case, Emo Seifa. Let's continue to the next part of the Mishnah. If you find it 60 amma from this birdhouse, you can keep it. Why? But if there are no other birdhouses that have more residents, it certainly fell from this one. Right? If there's nobody else to reckon with. Says the Gemara, hold it. We have to relearn the whole halacha. We're not speaking about a bird that's flying. He's too young to fly. He's a baby bird, barely hopping around. He's jumping around. So the whole Mishnah is speaking about this type of bird. And we know the halacha is, Damar Rav Ukfa Bar Chama, he tells us an interesting phenomenon. Any this type of baby bird, ein medad yosem minun will never jump, will never hop more than 50 amma. Right? From his birdhouse. He can't go more than 50. He stops at 50. That's how far he'll go. So, yeah, if you find the nipa within 50 amos, so certainly belongs to the shaybach. If it's beyond 50 amos, it cannot have originated from this shaybach. Rather, so Rashi says, if it's more than 50 amma from this birdhouse, apparently, he's no longer considered a medada. He's already a mature bird. He can fly. Otherwise, how would he have gotten here? So now, we follow the Raiv. Raiv of the Alma presumably belongs to somebody out there, Raiv, versus this birdhouse here. So since the owner is unidentifiable, you can keep it. That's how Rashi goes to the Gemara. By Rabbi Yirmiyah, because Rabbi Yirmiyah was a shaila. 50 amma is the cutoff point, right? What about Raglai? Let's say he's half in, he's half out. Raglai achas b'seichnon amma. Raglai achas chutz m'chamishim amma ma'u. This baby bird is half in, half out. One leg is within the 50 amma mark, one is outside the 50 amma mark. How do you treat it? Says the Gemara, V'alda, they weren't very impressed with this question, and they forced him to leave the Beis HaMedrash. Because of this question, V'alda, afku, they removed the Rabbi Yirmiyah b'medrash from the Beis Medrash. Now Tesa explains. Tesa says it's not because he was, discussing, impracticable scenarios. That's not a reason to. Rather, he says, Rabbi Natam says, because mishum de medada eina medada klal yesam chamisham amma. Afilu raglai achas l'chol mida is chacham kenu. He says that the shiurim that were established by the Chachamim, including the fact that a medad, a baby bird, cannot go past 50 amma, is absolute. It's impossible that he'll go even a drop outside of 50 amma. So, if this bird, in fact, was partially beyond the 50 amma, then he's not a medada. There's nothing to discuss. He's not a medada with 1 foot out. He's no longer a medada. He's a mature bird who's treated differently. Okay. Actually, the Bach brings that later on in the Kuf Samachay, we find the whole story there where they actually went to Esther Mashayla and he helped them out, and because of that, they brought him back to the Beis Medrash. So, in the yeshiva world, they say a little bit of a joke, how long was the Rabbi Yirmiyah outside the Beis Medrash? Well, if he left the Beis Medrash in Daf Chav Gimel in Bava Basra and he was brought back in, he was reinvited in Daf Kuf Samachay. Well, it depends how quick they were learning. If they were learning really slow and thorough and, yeshivish and lumdish, it could have taken a couple of years. They were learning that Yaimi, it was just a matter of a few months. Okay, Tashma. Here's another raya to Shaila, whether you prefer the Roiv factor or the Karev factor. Tashma, Nimtza ben Shnei Shavachis. So back to the Mishnah. You find this bird situated between two birdhouses. Karev lezeh shaloi, v'karev lezeh shaloi. And we're speaking that it's within 50 amma of both of them. So whichever one is closer, he gets it. Va'avagav dachad b'na'u nafish, mechabrei. And we're assuming that one of them has more birds than the other one. And we still prefer the karev versus the roiv. It's a kasha of Chanina who says, roiv carries a day. And says, Gemara, we're speaking that they both have the same exact amount of birds. So roiv is not a factor. Says the Gemara, Rashi says now that the Hava Amina was, the Gemara figured that we're speaking that he found it beyond 50 amma. So it was beyond the 50 amma mark of either birdhouse. So in that case, he's a flying bird. So then you can just bring the whole world into the equation. And we assume it came from elsewhere. No, says the Gemara, we're speaking that he's a medada. He's a baby bird who can't fly it. Rather, we're speaking that you found him in a shvil, pathway, running between the vines. And that gives him an added measure of security, of comfort, and sometimes he'll stretch it beyond 50 amas, provided he's within eye shot of his home, of his birdhouse. Meaning, if he turns around, he can see his thing unobstructed. Then he'll keep on going. So Di'im Isa the Ma'alma Asi, if in fact he came from elsewhere, he couldn't do that. Given the Medadi, since he's merely a Medada, Le'matzi Asi, he couldn't come from so far. Why? The Chod Medadi. Because any little baby bird who's a Medada, V'hada Chazil Kinei Medadi, and he can still, he'll be Medada as long as he can still turn around and Chazil Kinei and notice his home base, his khan, his birdhouse. But otherwise, if he's too far gone, he's obstructed from his Lo Medada, he won't go and continue being Medada. So it's impossible that he came from elsewhere, because he's in the Shvil Shakramim, and right, which is blocking his view. And the only thing, the only place we can speculate he came from was from these two Shevachim that are right nearby. And since they're both the same size, so you don't have the Rav factor. Rather, you look at Karev to determine, right, the closest one is probably where he came from. Okay, let's recap today's DAF. We discussed the sugya of Harchakas and Zaken, of the birds who are encroaching on Rav Yosef's palm trees. Keep away birds from the city, lest they consume the seeds in the city. Keep your traps away from the city birds. We learned about To'anen L'Yorish, To'anen L'Keach. You stand up for your rights, assuming that it was worked out by your predecessors. We learned the halacha of Nipol HaNimtza B'Sechamishim Amma. The Gemara says we're speaking about a Medada. We can go not even a drop past 50. So the halacha is if it's within 50, it belongs to this birdhouse. Otherwise, it could have come from anywhere, because now he's a flying bird. So in this case, you can keep it. Chanina tells us halacha, when you have roiv versus a karev, we prefer roiv, and that determines the halacha. All the best, even at tzachar.